Hey there, I'm Connor, I'm Off the Cuff, and today I am talking to you about Race. Race tells the story of Jesse Owens before and during his participation in the 1936 Berlin, Nazi-occupied Berlin, Germany. And it also tells the story of his relationship with his manager. It also has the story of him and his family, and a lot of other things. This is a very packed movie. So what did I think of Race? Well, I thought it was very mixed, honestly. This is a movie I think should work more than it does, and I think a lot of the issues of this movie really have to do with its direction, and especially how the script was translated onto screen. First and foremost, there's just way too much here. It makes the movie needlessly long. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes. It feels like a 3-hour movie. That first half is slow. It doesn't really feel slow, but when I checked my watch and it was an hour into a 2 hour and 15-minute movie, I realized what I was in for. This is not just Jesse Owens as a runner. We also have Jesse Owens as, and his relationship with his manager, and we also have to see, his manager Larry's side of the story, who's played by Jason Sudeikis. And then we have to have Jesse's relationship with his family, and then his relationship with his fiancée, girlfriend. We have to see that. And then we also have the American Olympic Committee deciding whether or not they even want to go to Berlin. And then that turns into this weird conspiracy with Jeremy Irons getting roped into this Nazi scheme. We see this Nazi scheme, and then that Nazi scheme kind of turns into another story about the woman filming the Olympics, and what is that whole filming of Olympia, that documentary about that that particular games, that doesn't really have a whole lot of relevance to Jesse Owens' story. It just so happens to be filmed at this. It's so scattershot. It's definitely going for the shotgun approach at just trying to capture everything about this, about the sports world, the whole running world too, at this particular point in time. It's very messy. It's very all over the place. It's trying to do too much, and in its trying to do so much, it never really does any one thing particularly well. I do want to give this movie some good things, though. I think Stephen James as Jesse Owens does a good job. I thought he, considering just how much of this movie kind of relies on him and he carries it on his shoulders, I'm not going to say he does it in stride, but he does a good job. This acting all around is, decent. Jeremy Irons, it's great to see him around. William Hurt, it's always great to see William Hurt. And then, but the standout for me was, without a doubt, Jason Sudeikis. I was very impressed with him. Jason Sudeikis has always been one of those guys that I've wanted to like him, but I haven't seen that one thing that made me really like him. And I'm not going to say he was great in this movie, but he was the standout, and he was very, very good, and I want to see him do more things like this. When his character first came onto the scene, he just did a lot of shouting, and I was like, oh, it's this character. But there was more dimension to him as the movie went on, and Lord knows there was enough time for that. Okay, so issues with this movie really come into storytelling. This movie is not well edited. There's so much going on, and it's not like the editing jumping between all these various subplots. It's very kinetic. It feels like we're just jumping to another story, and then when we get a little bit of that, we just kind of jump into another story. Oh, let's go back to this one. Let's go back to that one. Let's go back to this one. And it was very, very messy. And also just the general, that's the storytelling part of the editing. There's also some editing, like there's a certain race that happens that's very important, and we only get like 2 or 3 shots of actual running, and everything else is reaction shots. That was very frustrating. And then there's also times where it just kind of gets a little too on the nose, and it gets very kind of corny, especially when it comes back to callback lines and trying to give lessons. And if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. There's a locker room scene that could have been great, but it just got really, really on-the-nose editing. Got an on-the-nose editing job. So yeah, the movie is trying to do too much. There's also some very noticeable special effects, and especially in the wide cityscape shots, some establishing shots, you could tell they didn't have the budget to make this look like 1930s America, 1930s Germany. So there's a lot of very noticeable computer effects, and that really kind of took you out of the experience. There's this one scene where they're on a boat, and you can just see, you can practically see the green outline around them, because the lighting from back there and the lighting on their face is completely different. Yeah, so the production isn't as good as I'd like it to be, but there is some ambition here. I got the feeling that somebody really did want to make this movie, and that does shine through. There is a respect to this story that it's just told very clumsily. I mean, other than that, I will say that the second half is a lot better than the first half. The second half is pretty much almost exclusively the games, and I thought the whole games element was the best part. There's a genuinely great sequence about the long jump, and that whole long jump sequence, honestly, if it was on like Netflix or something, I would actually turn it on just to watch that, like 5 to 10 minutes, however long that was, and I would be very happy and satisfied. It was really, really good. But in the end, Race is a very messy, very scattershot, very unfocused movie that had some good parts, but the whole was very weak. I'm going to give Race a 5.5 out of 10. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'm Connor. See you later.